All right, then. So on the program this morning, yes, we're going to be doing something. Yes, I did tell you we're going to be trailing. We're trailing World Maritime Day. So we are sailing on the ocean of sustainability. Maritime Day in view. And joining me on the phone line this morning, Captain Emmanuel Ihienacho is a chairman, Genesis Worldwide Shipping Services. He is also a former Minister for the Interior right here in Nigeria. Captain Ihienacho, nice to have you join us. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Victor.
All right. So, from time to time, I know we have trekked this very, very long road of maritime advocacy, armed with nothing else other than the zeal for a vibrant maritime and shipping sectors, which is going to be world class. So, talk to me. Give us a sense of what you make of the sector. So far, so good in the year 2025.
Yeah, it's very difficult in the time that we have for me to give you a summary of what's happening in the sector. Basically, the maritime remains a very, very important artery of the Nigerian economy. And if we had the maritime working very efficiently, then we have a very good chance that our economy will work very well and that the welfare stature of Nigerians would absolutely be optimized.
Right.
So, the maritime is important. Tomorrow is the World Maritime Day, as you have said. The International Maritime Organization is a specialized agency of the United Nations, and they are responsible for developing and implementing global standards for maritime safety, for security, and for environmental protection. And so they set aside a day in the year, usually the last Thursday of September every year since 1978,
right,
for celebrating the IMO and for discussing issues that are germane and important to establishing maritime safety, maritime security, and the security of the economy as a whole.
So let me just interject there a bit, Captain Ihienacho. So very, very significant it is, but are most countries really paying attention to that day as a day that should be commemorated?
Well, it depends on how important the maritime is to the particular country. You know, not every country is a littoral country or a country that has a sea right next door to its landmass. So if you happen to be one like Nigeria that has a coastline of 850 kilometers,
right,
then it is very important that you take that day seriously, because serious issues are usually discussed. And it really wouldn't be a very good thing for those things to be discussed behind your back.
Right.
You really want to be able to participate and make your own input as to how the regulations and all of those things evolve.
All right. So that is well said, Captain Ihienacho. But of what significance, really, is you having a coastline? I mean, those who have this, or perhaps these littoral countries, as the case may be, would you say they are maximally of advantage to others that don't have?
Well, I mean, there is no direct comparison. So if you do have a sea frontage that really hosts the maritime and its activities, you couldn't, for instance, compare directly with a country that is not a coastal country. So I don't think that there's any special advantage there. It is important anyway that a country like Nigeria participates fully in the activities of the IMO, in the development of its laws, and the implementation of regulations that are set for ensuring the progress of our nations.
Right. And from your observation, how is this day going to be marked globally?
Well, usually it is marked by seminars, activities that are set up and indeed attended by people in the countries concerned. In Nigeria, of course, we have a celebration that is a schedule for tomorrow. People have been requisitioned to speak, and there will be seminars, and there will be an opportunity for people to debate issues relating to maritime safety, security, and economic development as a whole.
Right. So you are a prominent voice in the maritime world. So I'm suspecting you'll be one of the speakers tomorrow.
It's entirely possible that I will be speaking tomorrow, yes.
All right. So let's bring it home now. Globally, of course, there's reason and there's need for people to pay attention. But let's look at Nigeria. Nigeria, they say, is blessed. You just mentioned it, 853 nautical miles. Lots in terms of comparative advantage for Nigeria. But any reason for us to really celebrate?
Well, there is a reason for us to celebrate. There is reason for anybody. If you are alive, then you can celebrate that you are alive to start with. And then all other things that really need to be added on to you, you will then start looking at those things. Nigeria has not done too badly. We are very lucky and fortuitous in terms of our location relative to the sea. We have opportunities actually to further develop our economic circumstances by seeking to optimize blue water opportunities in doing shipping, in establishing repair yards, in establishing a lot of businesses that have to do with the maritime. So there is really reason for us to hope and to believe that better days will come from participating in the activities that are going to be scheduled for tomorrow.
All right, then so let's dwell a bit on the theme for this year's celebration: our ocean, our obligation, our opportunity. What do you think was in the minds of IMO and, of course, the leaders when they came up with this theme?
Well, I really cannot say what is in their mind, but really they pick a theme every year when the celebration is going to be had. Last year, for instance, I think it had to do with training and capacity development.
All right.
So this year we are talking about our oceans,
our obligation, and our opportunities.
That's right. So we have a lot of things to benefit from ensuring that our oceans are not destroyed through overfishing, through the dumping of effluent in our waters. We have a talk about moving our sources of energy that we consume from sources that are depletable to renewables. So there is really a lot to be discussed, and there is a lot for Nigeria to learn and to also enrich her policy provisions.
Right. So should this be just a single celebration, or perhaps should all the agencies that we have under the industry, should they also be coming up with their own kind of celebrations?
Well, I think that they cannot all have individual celebrations. They would have one celebration where everybody chips in, and the organizers of the conference or of the day would indeed have chosen the themes and the various things that really need to be talked about so that everybody has no chance and opportunity to participate optimally.
All right. So the World Maritime Day is equally meant to recognize those who are playing their own part in advancing the development of the industry. So if I were to ask you, who is supposed to carry out this kind of recognition?
Well, I mean, you have a ministry that has a central responsibility for dealing with the maritime, and I think it's the Ministry of the Blue Economy. And that is why they have taken the lead actually to host the World Maritime Day celebration and to invite all stakeholders and people who have a relevance to the reason for the celebration to participate in the event.
All right. The day also is, let's look at it. So the World Maritime Day for clarity. Are we really a maritime nation? Some may be asking that question, or we're just blessed with maritime resources?
Yeah, that's a very strange question. I mean, we are a maritime nation. What makes a maritime nation? It is the fact that you are blessed with the maritime resources and you actually derive a benefit from using the maritime. So in our situation, 80% at least of the trade that we engage in is carried by water. And so we have a very important incentive to participate in everything to do with discussions in the maritime. We are definitely a maritime nation because we have that body of water next door to us. We have the opportunities that it creates. We have further opportunities that could actually be garnered from exploiting it, provision of food, so many things really. So we have nothing to gain by standing aloof and saying that we are not a maritime nation. We're just lucky to have a body of water next door to us.
Yes, very, very rightly stated, Captain Hienacho. But some observers have said if we are really a maritime nation, then the government would have paid much more premium to the activities governing the maritime sector. Of course, they have set up a ministry, but all other things that are needed. Some have said our cargo clearing time, very, very poor. We're having cargo being diverted to other neighboring ports due to the ease of doing business, which is not very, very good. And of course, the indicators are not very, very positive for us. That's why observers are asking, are we really a maritime nation?
Well, just remember that we are in a continuum. We are not at the beginning nor are we at the end. So what happens is that every year we gather to take stock of what's happened in the last year. And then we also take a look at what would be happening in the coming years. And if we find that there is a deficit, and usually you cannot really be to say that you have everything that you require, then you get to work and then try and generate the necessary policies that will get you where you want to be. So that's where we are. I will not take the pessimistic view to say that Nigeria is not really benefiting. Nigeria is absolutely benefiting optimally from the proximity of the body of water, the Atlantic Ocean, that borders it for 853 miles. Right. We have shipping serving our economy. We have the goodness that the trade brings to us. We have the opportunity that is created for us to create jobs. We have the opportunity that the availability of the ocean in stimulating innovation.
Right.
We have economic resilience. There's so many things that we benefit from. So we really have to be thankful to God that this opportunity is there and that we're not really landlocked. And all we have to say is that if we take stock and we find out that there is still more to be done, then we set to work to articulate what needs to be done and then set the timelines for achieving the results that we are looking for.
All right, then Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. This morning, we're sailing on the waters of sustainability. World Maritime Day in view. Captain Emmanuel Iheanacho is taking us to the classroom. He's the chairman, Genesis Worldwide Shipping Services, and former minister for the Interior. We're going to take a short break right now. When we return, we'll delve into the arm of shipping under the maritime sector. How has shipping been, and what can we do to really, really improve shipping services? And if you have any questions for Captain Emmanuel Iheanacho, feel free to connect with us, and that will be on 091 5387 7127. That's 091 5387 7127. A brief break, we'll be back.
Nigerian Shippers Council, they to serve you well. No matter the problem, we go solve them for you. Yes, so the Nigerian Shippers Council, they feel in a parole now for every level. And as soon as goods, they move from port A, go enter port B with a measure within on a needle. For the Nigerian Shippers Council, we don't sharp proper to fit hear you weller, work with you weller, and help you fit serve your customers them better, no matter where them day. As we country port economic regulator, the Nigerian Shippers Council get every now to fit make government consider the problem where shippers them they face. Visit we office for number 4 or to buy your daily show your daily. Papa, email us for nsc@shipperscouncil.gov.ng. We website now www.shipperscouncil.gov.ng. Allow us on top 0818-888-8895 or 0703-584-6468. Nigerian Shippers Council with the meeting for the port of Nanir.
Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. Maritime Today is the program, and I still have my guest on the phone line, Captain Emmanuel Iheanacho. I understand the rains are pouring now. It's becoming a common denominator across town, even from Ikeja to Alakbere, heading towards Ogudu. Rains are everywhere at the moment, of course. But talking about the traffic situation, Second Rainbow, Mile 2, all those corridors are still looking pretty free at the moment. The incident report at Dokpemu still very much on ground, so we're tracking it minute by minute as well. Let's get back to the conversation. Captain Iheanacho, let's talk about shipping services, the shipping arm of the maritime sector. How are we faring in that regard?
Yeah, well, that's a very broader question. The shipping arm of the maritime sector. Yes, we need to develop shipping connections. Nigeria has a very long history of seeking to develop a shipping capacity. In the early 1970s, in fact, it started in the 1960s. We developed a national fleet of vessels. I think there were about 12 ships at that time.
Right.
And the idea really was to create the opportunity for Nigerians to have a practical, the practical experience in handling ships.
Okay.
Those ships provided training opportunities for people like myself, lots of master mariners, lots of chief engineers, and gave us the capacity to be able to get up and say, we are a shipping nation, we can operate ships. But that's not the end of the matter, because the situation is dynamic. Ship types are changing, and the skills that you require to be able to operate ships are also changing. So a nation has to have a dynamic policy that continues to change in line with all those changes that are realized. Okay. I think the problem that we had is that there was a break at one point where all the ships that we had in the system were lost. They were lost through several reasons. And we needed actually to have continuity, and it didn't happen. So now we have a situation where Nigeria does not really have its own bottoms, more particularly with respect to deep ocean going vessels.
Right.
And it is important that we actually make the necessary provisions, one, policy, two, financing, three, the necessary international connections to reestablish a fleet so that we can participate fully in the carriage of goods that serves our economy.
All right, we'll talk about that fleet shortly, but quickly, flash update coming in from the control room. The earlier reported breakdown of a loaded tipper with an engine problem occupying 50% of the road at Okeria, I understand, has been fully resolved, so it's now off the road within that particular location. But while reporting that, I can tell you, okay, no, it's not off the road, it's transloading, or transloading is ongoing. With that one. But the Egbeda corridor, there's a serious accident involving a high-capacity bus, that's a BRT, and a Mazda car at Ikotun Idimu Road, right? And that's precisely at Okonla bus stop inward to Rilukwe, and efforts on for it to be taken off. All right. So you've mentioned that there are lots of opportunities, but of course we have some hindrances. But earlier this year, Captain Hianacho, talking about NIMASA, that's the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, they announced, of course, through the ministry, that the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund will be, reintroduced or perhaps finally disbursed, as the case may be, from August this year. Talk to me. What are the prospects of that fund being a game changer for shipping services in Nigeria?
Well, it's going to be a game changer if and when it happens, because shipping is an occupation and a business that really is highly capital intensive. You cannot really be a ship owner if you don't have money to buy ships or to operate those vessels. So that has been one of the major problems that Nigerian would-be ship owners have actually encountered in the past, because they had skills, but they just didn't have the money to be able to buy the vessels to operate. So the coming of the CVFF was very welcome. Everybody was very happy, because it's money that has been collected over a period of time through contributions by shipping interests.
Okay.
And we also heard, exactly as you said, we heard that the CVFF was there and that it was in the process of being released. So we're looking forward to them following through with that policy engagement and eventually getting to the point where people will be shortlisted, and then those who are found to have a capacity would be given the loans to buy vessels.
Okay.
But certainly we need to have money to buy vessels, and we need those vessels to continue to service our economy.
All right, I'm having some messages that are coming in here for you. By the way, you can always connect with us, 09153877127. We're trailing World Maritime Day. And for those of you who are in this sector, how do you feel, having another World Maritime Day to be celebrated tomorrow? This one says, good morning, Mr. Victor. Can small fishing boats also adopt sustainable practices? Kolakpo from Owuru. I don't know what you mean by that, but Captain Henacho, do you understand his question?
Yes, I do. Yes, small fishing vessels can adopt sustainable practices, and sustainable practices with respect to shipping, for instance, fishing, for instance, is do not overfish.
Okay.
Because you do not overfish. If you overfish and you catch a fish of all sizes, including very small fishes,
right,
then you are really going to be creating problems for the future. So one of the things that one is saying, don't overfish. Secondly, you have a lot of oily residues in those small fishing vessels. Don't dump them carelessly and dump them overside, because if you do that, you're going to kill a lot of the fauna that is there.
Right.
And so these are things that one has to bear in mind, and people need to educate those who operate those small vessels to say, yes, this thing applies to you, and applies to you particularly. Okay. Don't catch tiny little fishes. You have to have nets that have a standard measurement, so that there are some fishes will be allowed to escape, and so those fishes will go there and spawn and then create more life in the sea.
Yeah, so Captain Henacho, I'm trying to interrupt you here. So if you say I shouldn't overfish, when I am seeking for economic benefits, I mean, a lot of people do this just to maximize the opportunities that they have. So how will I be able to curtail my exercises to say I won't overfish?
Yes, it depends. I mean, there are ways of making sure that you don't catch the wrong size of fish. For instance, the nets that you use, the dimensions of the holes in those nets, okay, it has to be designed precisely in such a way that it would allow smaller fishes to escape, so that you don't go there and hoover up everything that is there and absolutely create a barren land in the water, or barren marine environment.
All right, then let's take some more reactions. This one says, Captain, it says, how safe are Nigerian waters right now when it comes to pollution? Mrs. Faith Akinwale is sending that one in. Thank you, Faith.
Yeah, you are saying how safe are Nigerian waters with respect to pollution?
Yes.
Yeah, Nigerian waters are safe. The thing is that there has to be a continuous program of education directed at people who use the maritime, pointing out to them the futility of people dumping marine effluent or other type of effluent inside the water, pointing out the problems that it causes. So for Nigerian waters, I think that they have certainly the policy guidelines, which actually tells people what they can do and what they cannot do.
Okay.
So we are doing the best we can, and I think that the country is relatively safe for its citizens.
All right, this one says, good morning, Traffic Radio. How can the ordinary man on the street benefit if shipping goes green? Olamide is sending this one in from Ilaje. Okay, Olamide, thank you. So
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear the question. How can the ordinary man in the street benefit from what?
Benefit if shipping goes green. If we have, if the shipping services are green, that means they're free from pollution.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it says, how can the ordinary man benefit?
Yeah, but the ordinary man will benefit because there will be longevity in terms of the potentials that exist in the sea. Okay. You know, we don't really want, I've said it before, if we don't go green and we dump effluent and we overfish, then the sea will be dead and it will not support life. And that is not the type of sea that we want. We want one that supports life. Right. We want one that supports continuous renewable activity. And so all those things that you're talking about, dumping of oil in the water, it doesn't support the growth of renewables at all.
Let's begin to round this up.
It doesn't protect the ecosystem.
Right. Let's begin to round this all up right now. There's a whole lot, in terms of gains. I know the minister the other day in London was talking about the prospects that we have in the marine and blue economy, represented by the DG of NIMASA, Dayo Mobiriola. He was talking about the need for foreigners to invest in this sector of ours. As we round off the program this morning, Captain Henacho, what's the big deal? What do you think we should be looking at to really, change things 360 degrees for the maritime sector in Nigeria?
Well, we are really looking at being able to emerge as a proper maritime nation that has access to ships, that has Nigerians who actually produce their shipping services, that will supply those shipping services to ourselves and also supply to third parties elsewhere. We want to have a maritime where we are able to train Nigerian seafarers to the extent that they become a resource, just like the Filipinos have managed to do, and they earn billions and billions of dollars every year through being able to export the shipping services that are produced by their maritime establishment. So we want to be able to do these things. What pains me a little bit, though, is that we've been talking about this for a very long time. We talk about it, we talk about the need for policy, and we go home and say we're going to do it. And before you could say Jack Robin, one administration succeeds the next, and then we start afresh again. The problem that we have in that case is that there is discontinuity, and we really need to be able to have a means of continuing from one administration to the next, following through policy provisions that are made and that are indeed there to ensure that the life of Nigerians is much better than it is currently.
All right. Maximum appreciations to you, Captain Emmanuel Iheanacho. Very eloquent all the time. There's a lot to sip from your pool of wealth, and that's why we always bring you on board. Thank you so much for connecting with us this morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Terry. It's nice talking to you.
All right. So we've been able to sail on the waters of sustainability, World Maritime Day in view. And taking us on that excursion this morning has been Captain Emmanuel Iheanacho, former Minister for the Interior, Chairman, Genesis Worldwide. We have to go. The program has been produced by Taiwo Barua. Maximum shout out going out to Dayo Anthony. Let me also appreciate Rebecca Adamu, who is Assistant Director of Public Relations for the Nigerian Shippers Council in the studios. Oyin Kosola Eko and Agbeche Sam, right? And then let me also say a big thank you to Okpayemi Shodunke. Our executive producer is Tayo Akonle. My name is Victor Oteri. I'm out. Stay very much within. Bye.